Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and Killer Concepts, the place where we talk about all things true crime. My name is Peyton. Before we get started, please make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss any future content. So today I am not even going to lie to you. I really dropped the ball on this past week's episode. I mean, it's Sunday now, so it's technically this past week, but it was supposed to be posted on Saturday, and then I was going to try and have it done today. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. So when I make one of my true crime videos, especially one that I'm trying to do a lot of detail in, like this last one, I pretty much write out the entire video. It's my words, it's my thoughts, but it makes the editing process a lot smoother. And there was several nights this week. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's because we just got back from a trip or what, but I was working on writing out the video. I did all the research and I fell asleep like multiple times trying to work on it. So it just really did not get done with everything going on. And so I apologize for that. If I do not get a video to you every week, you can at least expect one every other week. And I'm still working on that video. I want to make sure it's put together properly. And I still have a lot of other ones that are on my plate that I am planning to put together for you guys, and hopefully we can get a backlog so that that doesn't happen. Just like I've said, I still am working on the stuff that I told you about, so that is not a lie. Due to this, I wanted to make sure I got you guys something in the meantime. And for those of you who are new here, you probably have not seen one of these, as it is something I did when I first started my YouTube channel, and I have not done one recently. I think I may have done one since I've been back. But basically, we are going to be searching the internet together, and I'm going to be reading you probably like 4 crime stories that are just ridiculous. Things that you wouldn't think that people would be doing, and they are. They can be funny, but they're not always, depending on the circumstances. But they're just stuff that you may have not heard of, but you may be interested to hear. So if you are here for one of my normal true crime videos, that is not what this is. So you can either stay and see what this is all about, or you can move on and we'll have a new video this upcoming week. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. I do want to warn you, this video, because I'm making it to try and get out to you pretty quickly, it may not have the best editing, but it is what it is. So it looks like the first 2 videos we have to talk about today actually revolve around meth. I found a slew of articles under the section Dumbest Criminals on the New York Post, so that is who we're going to be sticking with today. Any of the articles, if you want to check them out yourself, are down below in the description box. So we are going to start with an article called "A Drugged Up Kentucky Driver Hands Over Bag of Meth, Fentanyl Pills, and $3K when Cops Ask for His ID." This is by Patrick Riley, and it was published on May 11th, 2024. So it was not that long ago. And this is what the article reads. What a meth. A Kentucky man pulled a bag of drugs and a wad of cash when police officers asked him for his ID. David Ratliff, 43, was passed out behind the wheel of his car on Friday in the parking lot of a video store on US Route 421 in Manchester, about 100 miles south of Lexington. When police arrived at the scene and asked a drugged-out Ratliff for his ID, he whipped out a baggie of meth, pills, and a large sum of US currency, according to the Clay County Sheriff's Office. Police confirmed he had 9 grams of meth, several fentanyl pills, and $3,034 in cash. He was arrested on charges of trafficking in a controlled substance and public intoxication. He was taken to the Clay County Detention Center. End quote. Please remember that none of this is my reporting. None of it is research that I have done, and so it is all quotes. This is all the writers that I tell you about. What I think is so, this guy, I kind of feel bad for him because clearly he has an issue. But he was so bad off on drugs that he literally gave the police his meth, his fentanyl, and his cash when the cops asked him for his ID. It's like he thought that he was going to be selling something to someone. I don't know. People just don't think, and it shows you how bad off some people are when they're in this state of intoxication. So this next one, these always make me laugh because I don't know why somebody would call the cops for something like this. But like I said, this one is also about meth. So this one, the headline is Woman Calls 911 to Report Dealer for Selling Her Bad Meth. Not what it was supposed to be. This is by Catherine Donlevy, published April 17th, 2024. So this reads, quote, an alleged meth user landed herself behind bars when she called Indiana police to rat out her drug dealer, telling cops that the batch was not what it was supposed to be. Sarah Harris, 34, dialed 911 twice in January to complain that she was supplied with a baggie of methamphetamine, an arrest affidavit obtained by the Smoking Gun shows. Harris then allegedly handed the drugs over to cops at her home in the city of Bedford in hopes they could test the authenticity. The bad meth left her feeling as though she was having a heart attack, she allegedly explained to police. Harris allegedly admitted to snorting a line of the substance and felt something different when I touched it, her skin and nostrils. She immediately knew it wasn't the experience she signed up for. She compared the painful sensation to the bowl of normal meth she smoked with a friend previously, according to the documents. Harris was apparently willing to admit to her illegal activity as long as it meant retribution for her sketchy dealer. Quote, I wanted to turn the person in, end quote, that provided the bad meth, Harris allegedly declared. For her candid honesty, Harris was slapped with a meth possession charge, a felony that carries a maximum 30-month prison sentence, according to charges filed last week. The arrest does not mark Harris's first run-in with cops. She has prior convictions for theft, meth possession, criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, resisting, and operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, end quote. This is just one of those. We've talked about other ones like this before. I mean, you can go back and watch them if you haven't watched any of these kind of videos before that I've posted. Like I said, I haven't in a while, but these always just blow my mind. So she was so worried about her meth not being right that she was fine with getting charges if the cops could find the person or test it. It never makes sense to me, and I don't think it ever will. You know what, guys? I think we're just going to keep going with the meth because there's a lot of meth articles on here. And this one has an interesting headline. This one is headlined, Brilliant Scientist Pleads Guilty to Running Breaking Bad Style Meth Lab After Inadvertently Calling Cops on Himself. And this is by David Proper, published February 18th, 2024. Just like the rest of them, this is New York Post. Quote, a Long Island scientist copped to running a Breaking Bad style meth lab that initially landed on police's radar when he called about a break-in at the facility last year, prosecutors said. Matthew Lashinsky, 23, accidentally called the cops on himself when he dialed 911 around 3:30 a.m. June 7th to report a burglary in progress at his purported Ronkonkoma establishment. I don't even know where that is. I've never heard of Ronkonkoma. I don't know if you have, but that's an interesting name. Establishment. Quantitative Laboratories, LLC, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office said. When Suffolk County Police reached the scene, officers found broken glass at the entrance of the lab, a facility which they eventually realized was secretly manufacturing and pumping out methamphetamine and other controlled substances, including the hallucinogenic. Guys, I'm just going to put the word on the screen because I can't properly pronounce this. The district attorney's office said. More than 100 items of lab equipment, chemical reagents, and solvents that go into meth were found, along with over 3 ounces of meth, 625,000 milligrams of pure ketamine, and 20 plastic jugs of GBL, which is similar to the date rape drug, GHB, prosecutors said. About $40,000 was also seized by police. Quote, this defendant was operating a Breaking Bad style drug lab and tried to conceal it under the guise of a legitimate business, end quote. Suffolk District Attorney Ray Tierney said in reference to the television drama series in which a chemistry teacher starts a meth lab. If If you guys have not watched any of Breaking Bad, I do recommend it. It is a really good show. Quote, I want to thank the Suffolk County Police Department officers who keenly identified evidence of a clandestine drug lab during their initial response to the scene, as well as our prosecutors and other members of law enforcement for their collaborative efforts to further investigate this defendant and hold him accountable for the deadly drugs he put out onto the streets of Suffolk County. End quote, he continued. Lashinsky claimed on his LinkedIn page that Quantitative Laboratories LLC analyzes cannabis. Though he admitted to manufacturing the potent and deadly drugs, his lawyer attempted to paint a positive picture of his client. Attorney David Basso told Newsday his client is a, quote, brilliant, end quote, scientist who was examining drug addiction for the public good, and denied he sold meth out of the lab. While he said Lashinsky applied for a Department of Environmental Conservation license, he was working without the correct certification when he was arrested. Quote, unfortunately, he went about it the wrong way, end quote, Basso told the newspaper. The Farmingville resident overall pleaded guilty to 13 charges tied to the case, including multiple counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance and unlawful manufacture of meth, the district attorney said. His sentencing is set for March 20th at that time. I would say to this one, it is dumb. Like, you're a dumb criminal if you are manufacturing something and you are going to call the cops, because it's dumb to call the cops when you're running that kind of business. I don't know anything about running that kind of business, but you think, if somebody's gonna break in, you're either gonna handle it yourself or you're gonna let it go, because if you're bringing cops in, they're obviously gonna find out about what's going on. I mean, the guy's 23, old enough to know better, but clearly not mature enough, and he clearly thought he could pull off what they did in Breaking Bad. Why don't we just see if we can find another meth one? We might as well just keep going with meth. You know what, guys? I have changed my mind. We're gonna stop with the meth ones here, and we're going to go to Wanted. Florida man tried to throw cops off with "I don't live here" sign by George Fitzgibbon. Published October 17th, 2023. So now we're going into 2023. I think the rest of them were 2024. Quote, a Florida man wanted by the cops tried to throw them off his trail by placing a big sign outside his house reading, quote, Johnny Yates does not live here, end quote. Okay. It didn't work. Yates, 41, who was wanted by the Polk County Sheriff's Office on aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and tampering charges, was eventually locked up. Deputies showed up at Yates' Lakeland home around 2:45 p.m. on Saturday after getting a tip that he was holed up inside, the sheriff's office said on Facebook. Quote, when the deputies arrived, they noticed a note written on a dry erase board in front of a window that said, Johnny Yates does not live here. Exclamation point. The Post said, quote, gee, a dry erase board never lied to us before. Should we believe it? End quote. The deputies questioned someone leaving the house who confirmed that Yates was inside. But after surrounding the house for an hour and calling the fugitive to come out, cops had to take it to the next level, the office said. Enough was enough, and the surrender smoke was dispensed inside the house, and 4 people exited the home, but no Johnny, the sheriff's office said. Deputies called out some more, but still no response from Johnny, so a second helping of surrender smoke was put inside the home to waft around a bit. Yet still no responses from Johnny, the Post said. Finally, deputies and K-9 Dexter entered the house and located Johnny, who was hiding in a modified chest of drawers. Johnny was arrested and taken to jail. The office said that 4 people who were initially holed up in the house with Yates were also dealt with. Quote, in regards to the 4 people who weren't cooperating with deputies, each one received a parting gift, a charge of resisting, and an all-expense paid trip to Grady Judd's bed and breakfast, end quote. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd, that is. Guys, can you believe there's another article on here from 2018 that has the headline, Cops Say Man Asked Them to Test His Meth After Violent Reaction? We're not going to read that one. I don't know what's up with people asking cops to test their drugs. I know I've read about it before, but, you just don't think it's that prevalent. But apparently it is. We're going to end with that one. So there were our New York Post dumbest criminals for today. So I hope you liked today's video. Like I said, This is a lot different than what you're used to. If you don't like it, that's fine. I wanted to make sure I got you something. My goal for this channel is really big, but we have to start somewhere. I want to talk more and more about small crimes, local crimes that can really help people. I want to do more advocating for human trafficking and domestic violence. And so I've really been trying to find a lot of those cases and work on them. Our next video, though, which is the one that I kept falling asleep writing this week, is going to be a movie versus true story comparison. So we're going to talk about the true story, then we're going to talk about the movie, and then we're going to compare the two, because we talk about all things true crime here instead of just one. You know, we like to switch it up. So with that being said, that is all I have for you today. I hope you liked this video. If you are new here and you have not done so already, please make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below and turn on your post notifications. If you have any case suggestions, please send them to killerconceptsvlog@gmail.com, or you can comment them down below. And you can follow me on social media. All the handles are down below. I am most active on Twitter or X right now. I just haven't been feeling Instagram. I used to be really active on Instagram, but it's kind of went stagnant, and I haven't posted enough on it, because even when I was posting consistently, it was stagnant. It wasn't doing anything for me. Before you go, and just remember that the world's most dangerous minds hide in the most unlikely places, and to stay safe.